which leads me up to now to talk about a person whom I met a few weeks ago. That's going to talk to you in a few minutes about Rotary membership. And I had the opportunity to chat with him, and I shared my vision of what Rotary should really look like based on my experience in Atlanta, and that we really need to work hard to try to get more adversity, not diversity rather, in our clubs. And pointed out to our speaker that we have several challenges out in the Midwest and out in the central part of the country with getting people of color, people of different ethnic backgrounds into our clubs. And he is an expert in membership, and he's going to talk to us just a little bit about it in a few seconds. But I'm impressed with his knowledge, and I'm impressed with his ability to understand what clubs need and understand what it takes for us to increase our memberships within our clubs. And that's a goal that we all hope to achieve during our year. Our speaker is a great guy. I mean, he's the past president of the State College of the State College Downtown Rotary Club in Pennsylvania, where he hails from. He's a founding member of Rolling Rotary, and I certainly recommend you all to Google that, Rolling Rotary. And you go in there and take a look at the achievement that he and a couple of his fellow Rotarians have achieved. Our speaker has appeared in various international assemblies. Jason is an IT systems manager at Penn State University. He's also a local disc jockey and owns his own business. Jason is a 5-time Paul Harris Fellow, and his motto is, use what you love to fight what you hate. And at this time, I'm proud to present to you Mr. Jason Browne. Jason, your show.
Thank you so very much. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me pretty well? DG and Ivanhoe, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. You are an inspiration. You have done so much for the communities for which you serve. And this country. So thank you so very much for what you do. And it was a pleasure to talk to you not too long ago. So thank you for that conversation. Everybody, guess what? You're here as part of this conversation, and we're going to be using this chat feature that's here. So if you're sitting back and you're like, lounging in your blanket and you're just staring at the screen from a distance, go ahead and grab your keyboard, folks, because this is going to be an interactive experience. For the next 40 minutes or so, we're going to be going back and forth talking about things such as diversity, such as membership, and all the reasons why this is so important to our communities. So first things first, to make sure that all of you can hear me as well, in chat, make sure that you're selecting everybody as the recipient to this message. We're going to be talking about M&Ms today. Making M&Ms, making membership memorable. So the first question to everybody is, what is your favorite color of M&M? What is your favorite color M&M? I want to see it in chat. Go ahead and chat. Red, Deanne, blue. Kurt's like blue. Todd says blue. Bill, blue. Isaac, blue. Kent, green. Fred says red. Brown. Connie's like, I'm chilling with Brown. I'm hanging out with Brown. I'm good with that. Okay. So far, so good. A little slow with the typing. Okay, this is going to have to be a little. You put a little bit more pep in your typing game, everybody. Okay. One thing I heard, there was a few great clubs that exist here in your district. Kinsley was the one that I heard most about. So if please represent your club. We have the E Club, we have Great Bend, we have a few others. Go ahead and type your club in chat. Let's see which club is the most represented here. Newton is here from Kent. Go ahead and type your club. West, Wichita, Sharon Springs, Pratt. Wichita is in the lead right now. Pratt is there too. Wichita is holding it down with the most amount of people so far. Okay. Wichita is representing here today in multiple capacities, downtown and west. All right, everybody. Perfect. Well, today we're going to be talking about making M&Ms, making membership memorable, and we're going to have a little bit of fun with that. So how this works is that we're going to be talking back and forth. And while we're going to, I'm going to be asking a few questions. Use the chat to make sure that you answer the questions. And Continue the conversation in chat. I might not get to all the messages. I might not get to every single comment. I might ask for a few folks that are some of the hosts to help point out a few things I might miss. But the thing is for you all to continue the conversation even while I'm talking. Don't let that stop us having a great time today. All right, everybody. So the first things first, making membership memorable. Well, this is the first question, real question of the day, even though Wichita is representing quite hard today. What is most important to you? Number one, membership growth. Two, membership retention. If you had to choose one, you had to choose only one. Which one would it be? Connie says two. Jerry says two. Deanne says two. Rita says two. Isaac says one. I love when there's a little disagreement here. Oh, but it seems like a solid two across the board here, everybody. Liberal, John. I don't see liberal here on the list, but you know what? Growth. Okay, Amy says growth. Now that you mentioned this, everybody, please let everybody else know why you chose that, especially Isaac. Why did you choose number one? Why do you think that's most important? I'm going to continue going on with my presentation. You all continue the chat and conversation in chat. It'll be a little bit of both. So with that question to set the tone, everybody, we're here to make membership memorable, make M&Ms, as I like to call it. And as you can see, we have a big old table of M&Ms right behind me. This is us. This is our ideal membership. Colorful, diverse, sweet. Well, some of us are. Some of us, at least. When you think of membership for the rest of the time that we're here, and maybe for the future, think of these M&Ms. Think about making membership memorable. All right. Membership is the most important aspect of Rotary. Ivanhoe mentioned about diversity. We're going to be talking about that a little bit too. Without great membership, we do not have great clubs. Without great clubs, we cannot support the foundation or our service projects. And it sounds like some folks out there have done some really cool stuff with some service projects. I might be asking you some questions. Anything of quality within Rotary requires quality membership. So, membership must be the most important aspect of Rotary. We must all make membership memorable. We must all make M&Ms. Dave says, because you need to retain members to grow members. I like that. Amy says, we're such a small club. We need more members. That's a very good point. You need more members to sustain yourself. If there's only two people left, how are you going to do that? But also you have to cultivate what's there. Retention now so that we can move into growth. Dana, I like that. If we retain, we grow stronger. Rotarians and membership growth will follow. Keep those conversations going in chat. Keep that conversation moving. Going back to membership. Just as important as like membership in general is that we have to change our approach. President Holger said that in recent years we have failed in our efforts to grow Rotary and we need to change our approach to membership. He asks us not to grow clubs for growth's sake. Instead, he asks us to be intentional and purposeful with adding and sustaining membership. To continue to impact our communities locally and globally, we need healthy membership, and thus we need to make M&Ms. We need to make membership core to all of our efforts. Now, our M&Ms, M&Ms are nice by themselves, but we got to talk about the elephant in the room. Is that our M&Ms are now covered with something, and it's not your favorite color. It's not maybe like, I don't know, the pretzel versions. It's literally the fact that our M&Ms are covered with a little bit of COVID. It's there, and it packs everything that we do right now. We have to bring it up. We have to talk about it. I'm not sure how many people make M&Ms, but it's difficult, especially when you have to wear a face mask every single time you have to socially distance. And we're going to have a few barriers that make membership difficult to obtain, membership memorable. And we're going to be talking about those. And those things are the following. We have three areas: lack of connection, information overload, status quo, all with a coating of COVID, all with a good old coating of COVID. All of these things are the barriers that we see on a regular basis. And these are the things that we're going to have to overcome in order for us to be able to make membership memorable and make M&Ms. So let's talk about lack of connection. Let's think about this internally and externally. Okay. Internal to your club, you're not physical with your clubs. Maybe not all of you. Some of you might be with the hybrid club model. Some of you are not physically with your clubs, your entire clubs every single week. You're usually on Zoom or some other technology. You log into a meeting, probably in your pajamas from your waist down. Most of you probably have your pajamas on right now. I wish I could have the same. These are just regular pair of pants. Yeah, you rarely meet for service projects, although I'm still curious to hear about some of your cool stuff that you've done. But since COVID, there's been likely a reduction in the connection with your members. Externally, let's think about that. External to your club, your community, your opportunity to deeply connect with others has also changed. Before, you could be out in the community, be people of action in an easy way. You could see the smiles on people's faces as you take pictures and engage with the public. Right now, it's a little bit difficult. Information overload was already difficult when it came to making M&Ms, and COVID made it that much harder. Another question for you, everybody. Which is more important to you, the connections between the members of your club or the connections between your public and the club? If you had to choose one, which to you is more important? It's more important. Dave says two. Rita says one. Oh, this might be a little bit more of a testy one between the members. Uh-oh. We have it's 50-50 now. I like this. I like this. The balance between memberships, internal and external. Ooh, it's heating up. Rita says one. Joyce says two. Kurt says one. Isaac says one. Everybody, Sterling says two. All right. Keep those answers coming. And if you want, and please explain the reasons why you chose the number that you did. Keep those answers coming. Keep the conversation moving. So the second barrier, though, as you continue that part of the conversation, information overload. There's so much information. Let's think about this internally, everybody. Internal to your club, there are many important aspects of Rotary. Just counting the areas of focus and strategic objectives, there are 10 different topics. There's only so much email that you can read. There's only so many Zoom sessions that you feel like logging into at the end of the day. It's going to be a lot of info. External to your club. How do you convey the message of Rotary to somebody who knows little about it, only virtually or with why social distancing? Sure, you can point them to rotary.org, but where do they start? There's like 18,000 links on that page. Sure, you can point them to your own Facebook page, but if they only see a couple pictures of you, they see 3 pictures posted in the last month and they're all of your Zoom call or the occasional picture of maybe you walking down the street. Does that really share exactly what you do with your club and give the information that's needed to explain what you do? Information overload was already difficult, but COVID made it that much harder. All right, let's go back to some of the comments for our first question before we hop into our next one. Connections with the community lead to growth of club and, more important, ability to have an impact in the community through service. That's what DGE Fred says. I like that. Let's look at Amy. They're inextricably linked. If we're not connected to each other, we can't really connect with the community. One helps grow retention. Two helps. Oh, Deanne, I've never had anybody say that. So going back to the question real quick, Deanne says one helps with retention, two helps with growth. I think you're the first person that recognized the fact that I was thinking that when I wrote the question. Nicely done. One other comment, maybe from Isaac. If we can build a strong relationships internally, it will spill out into the community. Interesting. There is definitely a balance there. And how do we do that? All right, everybody, here's your next question. If you had 10 seconds, going back to information overload, if you had 10 seconds to share one thing about Rotary with somebody, what would it be? If you have fellowship, number 1. Number 2 is community service. 3, personal Rotary story. 5, area of focus. Or 4, area of focus. 5, other. And if it's other, what is it? If you had 10 seconds, the elevator pitch for Rotary, you have to share what it's all about. Which one do you choose? Information overload, y'all. We have a 3, we have 2, we have 1. There's a balanced answer here, y'all. And it looks like 2, community service, is in the lead a little bit. It's 2 and 3s mostly. 2 and 3s mostly. Okay. No matter which number you're choosing right now, tell us the reason why you're choosing what you are choosing. I have my own personal favorite, but I look forward to all of your. 2 seems to be the one in the lead. All right, y'all. Isaac, Gloria, Dean, Lisa, Connie, Dana, Melon, Arlen, please explain the reasons why. We're going to keep on moving to the next barrier that we have, and that's going to be the status quo. Keep that conversation flowing in chat. Okay, the third barrier, status quo. We can just look at this. No need internal, external. Let's just look at it. If you only play by the rules set by tradition of your predecessors, if you play by the rules of Rotary 6 months ago, if you play by the rules of Rotary a year ago, you're already out of date. As our lives change to COVID, innovation and adaptation is key to our survival. The world is drastically different today than it was a year ago. Has your club changed with the changing of the world, or has it been stuck with the status quo? Now, it's going to be hard. You have some folks in a club with a lot of tradition that want to keep things at the way that they are. You have a bunch of new folks maybe that you want to bring into your club that have a lot of diverse perspectives. How do you merge the two to make something happen? Status quo was already difficult, and COVID just made it a lot harder. Before we hop into the next question, let's get to some of the answers to our previous one, which was if you had 10 seconds to share. My story DG Fred says, my story encompasses service, fellowship, and several areas of focus. I like that. Number 5, how might it interest them? Interesting. Need to do good in the community, Dave says. 3, because my story encompasses all the others. Amy, I love that answer. So can you type out a tweet to us in chat about what your story is? A tweet. Let's give the 10-second version of your story in a tweet. Amy, I'm going to challenge you to give me what that story is and see if you can convey all the other areas that we just talked about. Easy to relate to Rotary has easy to relate what Rotary has come to mean to us in our Rotary journey. Dana, I like that. Melon says service to and self community service for number 2 and personal story for number 3, both of them together. Okay. My personal favorite out of all of these is the personal story for the reasons that Amy just described. It's going to be a lot easier to convey the meaning. Okay, I'll give you a really great example. The introduction to the gentleman right before me, Ivanhoe, was done in a great way. It was really well done. Gave all the facts, right? That's the listing of the bullet points. When Ivanhoe came on though and was like, "Listen, when I worked in the community, we improved this for a few folks. We were I've never seen the amount of change that we had." There's a personal story that he was able to convey that the bullet points did not. And I did not even I didn't hear about some of the stuff until Ivanhoe just mentioned some of that personal story. So to me, my personal story is the strongest component. So Amy says, here's her tweet, everybody. Here's the personal story tweet of her 10 seconds. Introducing Amy to the stage with her tweet. Through Rotary, I can connect with others, give back to the community, and make an impact on the world. Amy, I'm going to challenge you. I think your story is better than that. I think you have a better story than that. Tell me something personal about you to make that part of your story. You just gave me the facts. What is the piece of it that gives the heart? What is the thing that you've seen change somebody's heart or mind or had an impact? You saw somebody's eyes flicker. You actually made that impact. Give that to me in that 10 seconds if you can, Amy. I think I think everybody could do better than that one statement. Amy, I'm picking on you a little bit, but I think this is really important too. So let's move to our next question. Let's move to our next question. Status quo. And the status quo question is of the following. Again, if we're stuck in status quo, we're not going to be able to make progress. Imagine your club did not exist, but all of those members now want to start a new club and you are in charge. What would you change? You have the ability to do anything. Absolutely anything. What would you change if you could start from scratch? With all the skills that you have and all your friends, what would you do differently? Somehow you have to make membership memorable. Somehow you have to make M&Ms. Keep the conversation, y'all. Keep the conversation going. But we have to make membership memorable in a time when there's a bunch of COVID. So to kind of simulate all those barriers that we just saw and how important it is that we need to make membership memorable and add a little bit more heart to our 10-second pitch and give that personal story, make sure that we connect with people in an important way. Let's go to the outside for a second, everybody. Let's act like we're just hanging out outside. Maybe you're on your way to the store. Maybe you want to pet that dog. I don't know. One of those things. And all of a sudden, you run into maybe another Rotarian and you're like, oh, you know, you're just hanging out on the street and you just stumble upon somebody. You're like, oh, oh, look at you, buddy. Okay, you're right there. And this is how this conversation might go. I'm just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. It empowers me to change lives, and that's what we're trying to do here. Here's what this conversation might look like. Hey, Joe, how's it going? It's long time no see. Bob, you're not wearing a mask. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that. How's the family been? You know you're not 6 feet away from me, right? Back up. Back up. Back up a little bit. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Oh man, have you heard about all the cool things Rotary's been up to? Like they've been doing a whole lot, even though during this. I get the emails. There's just a whole lot there, man. I occasionally see them on the news. It's been really great. Yeah, so why don't you just come? We have a Zoom meeting. We have a meeting in like half an hour. I can send you a link. Listen, dude, it's 8 a.m. I've been on 14 Zoom calls already. I'm late for my 15th. I don't really want to. Are you sure? Because you could probably listen. I'm just gonna go. Wait, don't go. I just see you later. Maybe I'll see you at the future. All right now. Okay. Okay. Well, that's all of those barriers that we just discussed were apparent in that situation. And we're going to have to find a way to navigate all of those pieces. And how do we do that? Well, we're about to ask my grandfather on how to do that, but let's check in with some of the comments that were there. Dana says more hands-on service projects working around COVID. As far as let's go back to the question real quick. The question was, imagine if club did not exist and those members want to start a new club, what would you do differently? Connie says, challenge the board to reach out to all the members who are not attending regularly. Interesting. DG Fred says, broaden the view of Rotary beyond the walls of the club. What does that mean? Broaden the view of Rotary beyond the walls of the club. Our impact can be vast. Fred, that is a very epic stance. Oh, Amy came back with some more. We got to touch on this comment. Even though my club members and I are very different, we accept each other and enjoy each other's company. Ooh, here's the meaning. We have fun and we paint maps on playgrounds and we help bring STEM programs to Kansas kids. Yes. Then our donations are pooled with others around the world to do things like clean water for folks who need it and eradicate polio from. There is that personal story. Can we get a round of applause for it? Can we get a round of applause?
Can we get a, please, everybody, can we get a round of applause for Amy? Because that one's right there. That's the story, y'all. That's the story. All right.
Yeah. Rita says, go Amy. Deanne says, go Amy. Thank you for indulging that experiment, Amy. Okay. So we just talked about maybe making membership memorable. We just talked about showed all the barriers and how that's in fact impacting all of us. Now let's talk, how are we going to fix all this? Let's ask my grandfather. His name was Mr. Nelson. And Mr. Nelson was my grandfather. He would have made a great Rotarian. My grandfather made M&Ms. But my grandfather was never a Rotarian. My grandfather never started a Rotary club. In fact, I never heard him mention the word Rotary to me at all. But he did inspire membership in the Club of Nelson. Mr. Nelson grew up in a predominantly Southern African-American town in the U.S. His family had little money. Quality education was scarce. Racism was abundant. There was a lack of community and opportunity. Despite these barriers, Mr. Nelson was able to get a college education and found ways to bring the community together. He formed Clubs of Nelson. When he became the principal of multiple schools, he created a Club of Nelson, a team of teachers and leaders. When he became a leader in the local church and national professional fraternities, he created Clubs of Nelson, teams of national and community leaders. Ivanhoe, you might know my grandfather. You might know Mr. Nelson. When he helped install local sanitation and water systems, he created a Club of Nelson, a team of government officials and policymakers, just like we do in Rotary. To collaboratively and positively impact the community, Mr. Nelson worked to foster memorable membership in the Club of Nelson. But here's the thing. In reality, the Clubs of Nelson never really existed. But it felt like the Clubs of Nelson existed to those that he worked with, the members, the community, the folks in politics. Mr. Nelson made M&Ms. Mr. Nelson made membership memorable. He is the reason why I became a Rotarian. He passed away over 10 years ago, but if you go down to Louisiana in his hometown, even the surrounding areas, you ask about Mr. Nelson, people are still living his legacy to this day. And during that time when my grandfather was doing all of these wonderful things, there was no COVID. There was no Zoom. Polio was still the U.S. pandemic. But the foundations of creating M&Ms are there regardless. So as we think about making membership memorable, here's another question for you, everybody. Outside of Rotary, where do you feel like you're most part of a team? Where is your membership most memorable? Type all that apply. It could be your church, your sports team, school, family or partner, other. What is it? If you had to choose, what would it be? Dave says 4, family and partner. 4, work. 5 is work. 1 through 4, 1 and 4, family or partner in church. There it is. 3 and 4, school, family and partner. Work. These are all good things. These are all awesome things. Work. Everybody's like, you know what? I do my best stuff at work. I appreciate that. keep the conversation going. But here's the thing: choose as you select the one that you do. As we continue our conversation, think about what the differences are between your Rotary clubs and what you do for the community and these items. Why would you choose school? Why would you choose your church? Yes, there is a spiritual and a personal connection there, but what else is missing there? What else is the difference? Why are those things places where you feel like there's membership is memorable? Now, how are we going to fix these things? I talked a lot. I set up a whole bunch of problems. I set a lot of issues. Let's knock through some of the stuff that we can do and make membership memorable. There's 5 things that I want to talk about, ways that we can address this. Strong identity and diversity, clear public image, business mindedness, being innovative, and creating partnerships. Those are the things that we're going to need to do in order to combat all of those barriers that we just talked about. Strong identity. Strong identity. Having a strong identity allows you to shape all of your efforts, and some of you are very good at this. Some of those clubs that were mentioned that receive these awards might have a strong identity. Some of those might not. Some of you have lost your identity, especially in this time of COVID. Maybe it started to be lost before COVID even hit. What are your club's values? What are your goals? For mature clubs, have you done enough strategic planning? Maybe you've done too much strategic planning. What does your club do? Why does your club do the things that it does? If you got to be able to answer these questions. But once you know who you are, you're going to be able to better affect your community and do what you need to do. And once you understand the identity of your club, you're going to be able to impact things like diversity, um, the age of your club, the youth in your area. A lot of times, folks, you're like, how do I add more diversity to my club? How do I add more young professionals to my club? And my first response is that what your club is meant to do? Does your club have the identity that supports these things? Young professionals, certain diverse activities. There's 50. Through my earlier conversations, I heard that there's a lot of folks in your clubs, but there's very little diversity. The fact that you have Ivanhoe and me on this call right now throughout your district is like, well, those are like 2 of the 5 Black people that I know here, which is, it's understandable that there needs to be diversity that increases, and we need to find a way to bring and more of the folks that represent our communities. And as our demographics change, especially, we need to find a way to better integrate that into what we do. But you can't do that until you understand who you are as a club. And one of the solutions that may be there, because if you figure out your identity does not properly support the African American community or the Latin community, or you're not there to better ingest young professionals or a whole lot of folks from other areas, there are some solutions that we can do dealing with partnerships that we will get to in a little bit. Related to this particular question point, I do have a question. What is more important to your club, talent or financial ability? If you had to choose one, there's a bunch of ones. You know how, like, when you type something, like financial looks like it's spelled wrong to me? Anyway, that's just like I'm staring at the word and it looks like it's spelled. Anyway, my point is off. No, we have a bunch of ones in chat, talent, but we do have the occasional 2. Why, Donna, why did you choose 2? Other folks, why did you choose 1? Especially when we're thinking about adding diversity to our club and folks with different areas, abilities, and financial capacities, this question is kind of important. So, answer this question. Why did you choose the number that you did? Let's continue on. Next thing, clear public image. Once that you understand who you are as a club, then you can create the public image that's necessary. Having a clear public image allows you to track the people that to which you want to serve and make current members feel appreciated about your efforts. Does your public image create the environment in which that allows you to connect to different diverse groups, young professionals? Or are you better served of creating a public image that serves the needs to which your club is meant to serve? I'm not trying to tell you what your club is meant to do. Only you all can do that. But does your public image match that? And how can you do that? And posting a few posts online does not capture the public image effectively. Clear public image makes M&Ms. Clear public image brings in new people to the fold and educates people about Rotary. Business mindedness. Let's look at the couple of quick points. People who are interested in serving the community is most important, says Connie. Overcoming the image of old white men club. There you go. That's what it is. That deals with public image. Talent is much more important for the advancement of Rotary's vision and our club service program. However, Rotary is sometimes a financial barrier for many. DGE Fred is nailing it directly on the head. Old Town Club just instituted the Young Professional Club dues level that is lower than the regular dues level. There it goes. There's a great balance between the two, right? You're finding the talent that you need, and addressing the financial ability of the folks that you want to bring into the fold, but recognizing that the talent is key, regardless of the amount of money that folks have. How many people in chat own their own business, have owned their own business, or currently own their own business? Yes. Everybody give me a yes if that's the case. Everybody give me a yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, we have 3 yeses at least. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 yeses of people who previously or currently own their own business. My question to you is how often do, yes, Jerry says so as well. Gloria, how often do we use these skills for Rotary? When we talk about public image, and sometimes some clubs' public image is like, oh my goodness, how did you, oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, how did you do that? Why would you post that? Why would you put it like that? And when
we're sitting there thinking about often. When we're sitting there thinking about ways of improving our own clubs, a challenge would be one thing that my grandfather did was that he used not only his business mindedness, but the people to which he connected with. And that was critical, whether it regards marketing, finance, facilitation, social media. I know some of the folks that we're talking today about some of the aspects of your clubs and your districts have those skills. But I challenge you that in order to make membership memorable, to make M&Ms, we need to be able to reach out to the folks that are in our clubs with the skill sets that allow us to move forward. If we can't ask our own members, maybe Jimmy has does marketing for his own firm, and we can't ask Jimmy to help out with our PR committee and convince him to do so. How are we going to convince other people from outside of Rotary to join Rotary in the first place? We need to look inside of our membership and ask the folks with the skill sets from their businesses and from their experiences to share them, so that we can make membership memorable and make M&Ms. Now, we're all volunteers, and this is not a job. We do this because we love it. Sometimes we need a break, but dig deep into your skill set that you have inside of your club and your districts, and hopefully that will also. Let's knock out a few more real quick. Innovation. I don't need to say much about that. Now it's time to start fresh. The Harvard Business Review had an article about a month ago that said when business as usual isn't working, look to nonprofits for inspiration. Now, we're not traditionally a nonprofit as in the traditional sense. However, we do operate as like one, mostly, at times. So if the Harvard Business Review is saying to big business, look to nonprofits for innovation. And it sounds like folks, some of those folks that won some of the awards are already doing that. We have the ability to innovate in ways that the world has not been able to understand or seen yet. We can be creative. We have the skill sets. We have the business mindedness. We have the identity, and we have the diversity in order to be able to complete all of these things. But we do need to stay innovative. We do need to keep it. Have you stopped here's a question for all of you dealing with innovation. Has your club innovated enough since COVID? Yes, we still are. Yes, but not anymore. No, because we don't know how. Or no, tell us why. Choose one of these as to the reason why you have innovated enough in your club. 1, 2, 3, or 4. 4, resistant to change. Deanne is calling it out like she sees it. She says that it's resistant to change, and that 4. Dana says 4. Lisa says 4. There just seems to be 1 and 4s on the board. There's nothing in between right now that we see. Folks are probably 1. Ken says 1. How can the 1s help the 4s? Some change, but not enough to seemingly innovate. Yet, Fred, it sounds like you just did enough. Fred, it sounds like everybody installed Zoom and was like, hey, we're good. We're fine. My challenge to all of you is that right now is the key time to innovate. Take some risk and humble yourselves in order to move Rotary forward. Humble yourselves in order to move Rotary forward. Yes, I know you have experience. Yes, you've been doing this for 30 years. Yes, you have the business experience. But guess what? Those new folks that are coming up with some creative ideas, new ideas, brand breaking the bounds ideas, those are the folks that you need to bring into the fold in order for us to be able to innovate. And if you don't know how to do that, grab some lunch with folks over Zoom. Make sure you talk to people. Do your politicking skills. Grab some folks in your clubs to make sure, grab some folks from the district level, the zone level, if you need to, in order to make change. We met outside of a park. Invite a four to see what a one is doing. There you go, Kurt. That's a great idea. Last but not least, of some of the things that we can do to make M&Ms and make membership memorable in order to hit up all those barriers that we did is create partnerships. And, let's investigate partnerships by going back to Mr. Nelson real quick. All right? I know I'm running a little bit. I'm coming to a close in the next 5 minutes. All right, now let's talk about Mr. Nelson real quick. This is Mr. Nelson. Look at that smile. You know what I mean? Great dental plan. He's on a great dental plan. But imagine Mr. Nelson is in your community. Does everybody know Mr. Nelson in your community? Somebody who's pretty innovative. Well, go ahead and let us know in chat. And as I continue to describe, let me know if you know somebody like this. They're an entrepreneur. Maybe they have a little bit of money. Maybe they have a nice car. Maybe like a nice little Tesla. Maybe they, environmentally friendly. Oh, they do a lot of work for charity. You know what I mean? They do a lot of stuff. They're just hanging out. Again, these folks don't know. He's not in Rotary. He's just a cool guy in this town doing a lot of cool things. He has a bunch of friends and he's socially distant and aware of the things that are happening within the community. This is Mr. Nelson. He's 100% cool, everybody. Everybody has to know one of these Mr. Nelsons in your community, right? Come on. Everybody knows at least one guy like this, or gal like this, or person like this, or dog like this. It doesn't matter. Somebody like this. Somebody like this. Now, thinking of partnerships, you could ask Mr. Nelson to join Rotary, or you can ask him to partner. Now, imagine, with all of these cool things that Mr. Nelson has, Rotary Club asked him to join his club. What would Mr. Nelson say to that? I mean, there's diversity there, I guess. I mean, they're wearing masks. That's a good thing. But at the end of the day, if you had a Mr. Nelson in your community, what is the best idea, everybody? Ask him to join your club, ask him to start a new club, or partner with him on projects. If you had to choose one of these three options, what would they be? What would they be? What would they be? Go ahead and put your answer in the chat. Sterling says 3. Ark says 1. Ask him to join the club. Dave says 3. Melon says 3. Isaac says 3. Gloria says 1. There's just 1s and 3s here. 1s and 3s here. That is interesting. Nobody has said 2. Nobody has said 2. No one has said 2, which is fine. But from this partnership, Mr. Nelson might want to join Rotary. Fred, you're walking down my path. Well, there's a couple things. There's no wrong answer here, right? There's no wrong answer. There's just options. 2, I still think 2 is an option that needs to be considered, although nobody chose it, but it's not the top of the list. Here's the cool thing about this scenario, right? And again, I'll wrap it up in a couple minutes. Let's say Mr. Nelson's out in the community and you partner with Mr. Nelson. You do a really great service project and you impact a lot of people, right? And everybody's like, oh my goodness, this is fantastic, which probably wouldn't have happened otherwise if you just, try to push them all into Rotary, but you got to change to partner with them. You impacted this community and you publicize it in a great way. Then somebody like, let's just say Jane comes up to Mr. Nelson. It's like, Jane, and Mr. Nelson, my name's Jane. How are you doing? This seems like a great thing. Were you able to pull this off? Mr. Nelson says, actually, I didn't do this by myself. I work with Rotary. And Jane's like, hey, what's Rotary? And then Mr. Nelson says, hey, Rotary is an organization that's been helping people out throughout many communities. Then you got Mr. Nelson doing the work for you to share the word of Rotary, to help give people the insight to bring them into the fold. And maybe Jane wants to work with Mr. Nelson and build their own club. That's something else that we can do. Having people directly inject them into Rotary, into your club for the sake of just saying, I got this one, doesn't really help the community as a whole. Humble yourselves to figure out the best way to do it. One quick thing about partnerships. There's a 10-3-1 rule that I learned not too long ago. You have to ask 10 people to join Rotary. 3 of those people out of those 10 will come to a meeting. Out of those 3 people that come to a meeting, a Zoom meeting probably, only 1 person will join your club. That's a 10% return on your efforts, right? And if we're talking about trying to have a net gain of like 2 to 3 to 5 to 6 to 10 people per year, 10, 3, 1 is a sales funnel. Yes, Deanne. If we're talking about adding all these people, that is a lot of work. A lot of work. I don't know the rule for partnerships, but I have to imagine that it's going to be a lot easier than that. I think that I can partner a lot easier with Mr. Nelson to create some change in my community than it is to get him inside of my club. So we have a lot of stuff, y'all. We need to make membership memorable. We need to make M&Ms. Here are the barriers: lack of connection, information overload, status quo, and a whole bunch of COVID-19. That's what we're dealing with here. And then we also have these things that we can change. We have a strong identity with adding diversity, clear public image, business mindedness, being innovative, and creating partnerships. These are the things that help us navigate those barriers. And I'll just give you 5 quick simplified ways. And if all of that's not simple enough, I'll give you 5 quick ways. There's a lot of text here, but here's the point. Your strong identity with diversity, don't focus on adding diversity or young professionals to your club. Figure out who you are first and figure out if that's the most appropriate course of action. Do you create a satellite club? Do you create partnerships? Do you ask them to join your club? Got to figure out what your identity is first. Public image. Posting an occasional picture or 2 on social media is not public image. Go above and beyond, tied to your identity, and think about the audiences to which you want to serve. Business mindedness. If the club leadership doesn't know how to do something, ask for help. If you see like somebody's floundering, ask for help. You want to connect with the colleges or universities or youth in your area to get some experience in something technical because you want to be a hybrid club, ask for help. Innovation. Yay, you started to innovate since COVID. Everybody downloaded Zoom. Good job, everybody. But yes, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. What is the next thing that you want to push your club to do and push your club to grow? Last but not least, partner. Community M&Ms, I should have this as being like a 2-way street. Community M&Ms make club M&Ms, and club M&Ms make community M&Ms. Partnering sometimes is the best way of going about it, and we don't always need to get married to the first person and come that with that said, that remotely seems like they might be a Rotarian, y'all. So again, we need to make membership memorable. We need to make M&Ms, and it's going to be very hard with a whole lot of COVID. But the thing is that we need to continue to do our hard work and talk about membership as we continue forward. Because if we don't, as we hold our M&Ms, they're just going to fade away. So remember, everybody, it's your job to make M&Ms and make membership memorable, and there's a bunch of ways to do it. My name is Jason Browne, and hopefully you can make membership memorable too. Thank you, everybody. What's some questions out in chat? What are some questions? Let's go. Is there anything that I missed? Any of the hosts out there that y'all want to talk about? Also bring attention as we wait for some questions coming in chat. I mean, somebody can unmute their mic if they like. Lisa, thank you. No, thank you, Lisa, for being here. Tasha, thank you also as well. While you're thinking about some questions, and again, some of the hosts, feel free to unmute your great content. Love the DJ voice. Okay, hold on. Welcome to Rotary on 95.3 FM, where you have all the service projects that you need. We have all the hits: solving polio, making sure we have clean sanitation. Make sure you keep it tuned right here for all of your Rotary service project. Is that good enough, Amy? All right. One last thing that I want to say is this. I have a survey at the end of this. They're going to send it out. I just really appreciate everybody giving me some feedback about the presentation, about your thoughts. It helps me make sure that I can continue to do these things, continue to share the message of Rotary in various ways in an effective manner. So please share your thoughts and be as honest as possible. Any other question? Any questions from chat? Any questions from the DGs? Anybody else? If not, I have a question. But do you have any suggestions on how to make Zoom calls more engaging? Yes. Don't always use Zoom for one. Isaac, there's a lot of really cool technology out there. And I'm happy to share that. I've been researching this. One of the businesses that I have does streaming. And we've come across a number of technologies to help. But here's a few basic ideas that you can do if you just use Zoom. First of all, Zoom is competing with Microsoft and a whole bunch of other folks. They're releasing new features all the time. If Zoom has a mailing list or like an update list, get on that if you want to stay up to date with all the new features. If you just want to stick with Zoom, there's that. Anything from breakout rooms to backgrounds to like new, like that you could rearrange things on the screen now in a really cool way. Just stay up to date with the updates from Zoom. Two, don't always sit down. Don't always sit down. As you can see me, I'm standing up. I'm just like I would be if I'm. This is going to give you a different experience than if you're just sitting at your chair with a standard background. Yes, everybody can change the background now, but if you there needs to be more. Also, all the elements of when you're public speaking or when you're sharing an idea all still apply. Just because you're sitting at home in front of your, fireplace with your laptop and your feet up, that does you still need to convey the message in a very energetic way, or it's going to get lost. In fact, I would say you have to do it 2 to 3 to 4 or 5 times greater with more expression and more energy in order for that to be engaging. There's all of that. You could talk about format and all that stuff too, but that's the everything in a nutshell to make Zoom calls more engaging. The link to the surveys of the other pro. Thank you, Kurt, for mentioning that. Yes, using chat feature. Dave, I almost forgot about that. One of the things that I also do is I do video game streaming. Chat is an underused resource. One of the most beautiful things about doing things online, even though it's people are tired of it, is the fact that you have a one-to-one connection with me. Dave can say something and I can read it and I can engage with that. You can't get that if you're at a conference. You can't. You're stuck in the audience. You're stuck next to like Sally Sue, who didn't really go to sleep the night before, and Billy Bob, who is just like just not paying attention, didn't take a shower that morning. So like, and then you're waving your hands where the person on stage can't see you. But here, every single individual in chat has a one-to-one connection if the speaker has the ability to comment on it. So do a better job of engaging with people because that is your flow of information and your connection with the people that you're working with. Any other questions?
Jason?
Yes, sir.
This is Dana Brewer. We're going to need to transition here,
Sounds good,
but
man.
thank you so much for being here. You and I and my wife Tina met in a Lyft vehicle going to the airport from International. You were my first choice to be on our district conference, so thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely.
Also, I want you to know that we're making a $500 donation in your name to Polio Plus, which will be matched 6 times. So that will do $3,000 worth of good in your name. So
thank you so much, Dana. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate your lovely comments. My name is Jason Browne. JasonGoRotary@gmail.com. If you need anything, please leave your comments or your contact information in that survey if you need me. I'm happy to talk to your clubs about Rotary, talk to your businesses about anything from technology to membership to anything else. So please reach out to me. It's been a pleasure and enjoy the rest of your conference.